Hey, the weekend is here. Our forecast in the Northeast is gloomy. Here's my recommendation. Go inside at Parks Casino. It's the perfect weekend. It's all happening at Parks. Parks Casino and Sportsbook, the number one casino in Pennsylvania, the only casino and sportsbook I recommend. You can catch a show by top headliners in the state-of-the-art Excite Center. Don't miss what's coming to the Excite Center only at Parks Casino. Comedians Jay Moore and Daryl Hammond from SNL. Singing legend Dionne Warwick is coming. Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains, Clint Black, Tracy Morgan. Love his comedy. Got to try and make that date. It's a Friday night. That's hard for me. Friday night's a school night for me. Travis Tritt, Foreigner. Yes, hot-blooded. Check it and see. Dine at the award-winning Parks Grill Steakhouse. Enjoy farm-to-table fare at the Liberty Bell Gastropub. Savor an innovative menu at the Bamboo Noodle House. They got a lot of great stuff going on there, not the least of which is Chicky and Pete's. Remember now, to purchase tickets and find a complete list of all headliners coming to the Excite Center, visit parkscasino.com, Parks with an X, as you see it on the screen. This is how you win. Got to be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for the headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. By the way, TC, I looked at us on YouTube yesterday, and I liked what I saw.
How about that? What did you like about it?
I like, for those who listen only, I recommend you also look at the YouTube channel and get a little behind-the-scenes glimpse.
Right.
But I liked everything. I liked our repartee. Yeah. I liked the content. I liked the look. Thank you, Creative Outfit.
Truly. Daniel, you're amazing.
It's all good stuff. Mm-hmm. And can I just remind people that in the daily newsletter, there's a link of us doing headlines.
Right.
And all you need to do is click on it. You can watch or just listen. Right. Kind of like a podcast.
We've been together. We've been working together for a long, long time. And I think people appreciate the sort of the banter and and being able to see on YouTube the facial expressions, which sometimes make it through the airwaves, but sometimes don't quite make it through the airwaves. I get a lot of laughter about my cringing at things that you say.
Does anyone remember laughter?
All right, moving on.
Moving on. So today's poll question, big voting. Perfect poll question. It's the perfect poll question.
If you do say so yourself.
Right? It's huge. Would being indicted in connection with Stormy Daniels alone be enough to derail Donald Trump's presidential campaign? I struggled with the wording. The word alone was TC's addition, because what I'm trying to convey is, when all is said and done, if Trump is indicted just for this and not the other things for which he's being investigated, would that alone derail his presidential campaign? And the correct answer is no. The correct answer is no. I've spoken of this extensively. I talked about it on CNN like a month ago, and while I was speaking about the fact that I didn't think that this case alone could derail Trump, in my head, I knew Michael Cohen was probably watching, and the minute I got off CNN, I had a text or an email from him saying that he was watching and that I was wrong. Immediately, we brought him on that day's radio program and played a clip of it on today's radio program. This is where I'm coming from on this. Trump is being looked at in four broad areas. There are four that we know of investigations. There have been others in the past, but where we are today, as far as we know, there's the January 6th investigation. Can he be held accountable for giving rise to, giving heft to, inciting, the Capitol riot? Yes, Tucker, I'm still calling it a Capitol riot. So there's that, and Merrick Garland has named Jack Smith, the special counsel, to look at Trump vis-a-vis January 6th. I think that's hard. I think that's the hardest of the four. I think the hardest of the four is to hold Donald Trump criminally responsible for the events of January 6th. Jack Smith, the special counsel, has also been appointed by Merrick Garland to look at the Mar-a-Lago document, loosely described case. I think that's the easiest. I think that's the easiest of the cases. It is. And if you're saying, well, Michael, but wait a minute, didn't the claim against Trump for the documents at Mar-a-Lago get weaker because of the discovery at Pence and Biden's residences? Well, yeah, it kind of did, because they had them too. But in Trump's case, he didn't cooperate. He obstructed. So it's a potential obstruction of justice case against Trump for the documents at Mar-a-Lago. But I do think that that case has been harmed by the revelation that Pence and Biden have documents that they should not have had, because in the court of public opinion, it's like, why did they single him out? Well, because it's not exactly apples to apples. Okay, but that's the second case. Then you've got Fani Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney, looking at Trump for his meddling and attempt to overturn election results in Georgia. I know it's not just the perfect phone call with Brad Raffensperger, but that's the way that we think of that basket or bucket of potential charges. January 6th, Mar-a-Lago, Fulton County, and then this. And this, which the New York Times published last night, this is Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan DA, no fan of Donald Trump, been looking at him for as long as he's been in office, ran, to look at him, just like his predecessor had long looked at Donald Trump. I just think it's the weakest of cases for a variety of reasons. I'm not even sure where to begin, but I'll begin in the court of public opinion. Didn't we learn in the 90s that Americans just are going to look the other way if it's a dispute about sex? Wasn't that the takeaway from the intern scandal? I don't want to say her name, but the intern scandal on Clinton's watch? I think that it was. He was reelected. People don't, okay, it was a sex thing and he lied. Well, of course he lied. In this case, let me remind of the facts. And this is from the Times coverage today, because this is a tight encapsulation of the case. A $130,000 payment came when Ms. Daniels' representatives contacted the National Enquirer to offer exclusive rights to her story about an affair with Mr. Trump. David Pecker, the tabloid's publisher and a longtime ally of Trump, had agreed to look out for potentially damaging stories about him during the 2016 campaign, and at one point even agreed to buy the story of another woman's affair with Trump and never publish it, that practice that they called catch and kill. But Pecker didn't take Daniels' story. Instead, he and the tabloid's top editor, Dylan Howard, helped broker a separate deal between Mr. Cohen and Ms. Daniels' lawyer. Put it all together. Stormy Daniels comes to the National Enquirer. It's now, the height of the 2016 campaign. David Pecker is looking out for his friend Donald Trump. So instead, he helps broker an arrangement where she gets money and he never publishes the story. That's what we're talking about here. And it's been 6-7 years. Why are we talking about it now? This is one of, I think, the Achilles heels of this case, which is it's based on the idea that, well, you couldn't indict Trump while he was president, so those 4 years toll the statute of limitations. Even the New York Times today regards this as a quote-unquote novel legal theory because the charge here is one of falsifying business records. That's a misdemeanor, which only rises to the level of a felony if it can be coupled with a violation of state election law. That's the novel theory. So if I'm Merrick Garland, if I'm Jack Smith, if I'm Fani Willis, I don't think I like this. I don't think I like it because it's the weakest of the cases. I don't know that it's going to move the needle with the American public. I don't know that it's going to cause any Trump supporter today to say, I can't vote for him now. Oh, my God, he was with a porn star. And therefore, if they bring their cases thereafter, it looks like it's all piling on. Like, oh, my God, they're out to get the guy. Yeah, they brought that case because of the porn star. Like, who cares? But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. You'll tell me so. The poll question today at Smerconish.com, would being indicted in connection with Stormy Daniels alone be enough to derail Donald Trump's presidential campaign? I say no. I'm not going to go so far as to say, this doesn't bother Trump. Trump loves it. The publicity, No, it's not good news for Trump, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse. It could have been a hell of a lot worse. And the closer, like Trump and DeSantis will both be in Iowa in the next 3 days. They're both going to Iowa. That's where we are. This thing is now headed down the tracks. And the further that it gets down the tracks in the 2024 campaign, I think the more difficult it becomes to indict him. Like they got to bring these things to a head already, because it's been going on for a long time. And the American people, I think, are going to be more sympathetic to him if it looks like it is what he describes as a witch hunt. I know some of you will say that sounds like I'm carrying his water. I don't intend to. I just think that this case today, if it comes to fruition, is the weakest of the four. That's where I'm coming from. More headlines now from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. Yesterday, 21,903 votes cast. I'm so glad, TC, that there was such interest in this. Sore loser laws.
That?
I love the issue. I wondered if it's a little...
The phone lines lit up.
Yeah.
Lit up. And people voted. People really, really were invested in this conversation that you had yesterday.
I was so pleased to see it.
You should have been.
So of all those who voted on the question, should candidates who lose in a primary be permitted to run in the same general election as an independent or third party? 55-45, yes. 55-45, yes. And I was further gratified by the fact that people didn't just look at the poll question as a Trump issue, like, oh, we don't want him doing that, so we'll vote no. I think people recognize that sometimes if a more moderate candidate loses in a primary, we'd like them to come back and be able to run in a general election because maybe they could win the general and they're being closed out in closed primary states from being able to win in a primary. I'll sum it up this way. We learned yesterday that 28 states, according to the analysis that was done by my guest yesterday and his colleagues, 28 states have sore loser laws that would apply to a presidential race. And of those 28, Donald Trump won 20 of them. If you want to apply the lesson of yesterday to Trump, the lesson is this. Trump can't run as a Republican, lose the nomination to DeSantis or somebody else, and then come back and run as a third-party candidate. That's not going to happen. That will not happen. Jeff Wise was on the program yesterday. He's a journalist who has really been invested in MH370. I'm recommending the Netflix three-part documentary about the disappearance of MH370. 239 people died. It was 9 years ago Wednesday that this occurred. First day that I ever launched my program on CNN. And the bottom line is they don't know. They don't know where it is. There's a good piece from the Washington Post that we linked to in the Smerconish.com daily newsletter today. Check that out. It's a story that describes what we know and what we don't know. And what we don't know is, where's the plane?
Where's the plane?
We still don't know where the plane
detail,
is. We don't
which
know
I just learned yesterday, but that's good.
Yeah. Did you follow the story in the Cincinnati area of the big cat that was caught and had cocaine in its system?
Yes.
What's that all about?
I don't get it. I don't understand what went on there, but evidently the story is a wildcat was being treated. They captured it in Oakley. It's not the reply was it was a leopard, but actually it's a serval, Serval, which is one of the large African cats. And when they tested it for narcotics, why did they, by the way? Not sure about that.
Yeah,
it tested positive
for
cocaine.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's. I haven't seen it, but I've seen advertisements for. I guess it's a movie about a bear with cocaine in its system.
Well, the movie is called Cocaine Bear.
What do you know about it? Anything? I know nothing.
That is literally all I know about it. Evidently, the bear. I've seen the trailer because they keep flashing it up. 500-pound black bear consumes a huge amount of cocaine, like there's supposed to be some kind of drug drop, but the bear finds the suitcase with all the cocaine and then eats it all and then goes on this drug-fueled rampage, and all the yip-yos in the middle of the forest are trying to figure out what to do with the bear. That's completely...
You're not allowed to say yip-yo anymore, but go ahead.
Am I not? What is that? I'm sure I'm not. What did I just do? Who did I just besmirch?
The yip-yos?
I apologize to all involved. Wait. One other detail about the serval case is that it's illegal to keep them as pets in Ohio, but it's allowed in Kentucky and Indiana.
Ah. So did we know, did the big cat come from...
It was owned.
Right.
It was a pet.
Uh-huh.
So someone had cocaine and somehow...
Well, I took interest in the part of the story that said that the owner is not going to be charged.
Yeah.
So where did the big cat get the... Let me just say this.
Be careful of your cocaine, people.
P22 was not a drug user. P22 said no to drugs.
Yeah.
And we appreciated that about P22.
He just wanted to live in the wild.
Yeah, I know, above the Hollywood Hills.
Aw.
BuzzFeed, very interesting story. The fantasy of the dream job is gone. I mean, TC and I had a conversation off air talking about how we know from our own orbit and our own kids, the dream jobs have been for many coming out of school to go work in the tech sector, thinking that they would be most secure in the land of
forever and ever, amen. Exactly.
And Meta and so on and so forth. From BuzzFeed, the recent layoffs came as a shock to some younger tech employees who were reminded that workers' interests come second to those of the company and its shareholders, and that anyone's job security is vulnerable to the endless boom and bust cycles of the economy. Some people quickly found work again, but the deeper impact of the layoffs is shifting the social perception of just how prestigious these jobs really are.
So is the idea that it is still a wanted job, but there's just not the security? So it's not like you get that job and then you're like, okay, I'm done and I'm going to work here for the rest of my life because of all these layoffs?
I don't think anybody works for the rest of their life anywhere. Ginny Rometty, who was the first female chair and CEO of IBM and was a guest on the program this week.
Tuesday,
by the way,
Monday?
Book club release on Wednesday. Great guest, great stories, interesting book.
Great nuggets dug out by the host of the program.
Thank you, even though he did mispronounce her name. But she had a 40-year career.
Yeah.
She graduated from Northwestern, worked at General Motors, I think for 2 or less years, and then realized she really wanted to be in a computer-related field and went to IBM and then worked her way up the ladder. I don't think anybody does that anymore.
I mean, I'm with you now for 21 years.
I know
That's a lot.
We're unique. We are unique, TC.
I mean, and you're 30 plus.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah.
3 decades.
Yeah,
3 decades of doing what I'm doing. I'm more
it's different
unique
because it's not exactly with the same company, but it's the same job-ish.
I think I'm unique in that I'm in an industry where conventionally, and technology is changing this, but you used to have to move market to market to market and go from here to here to here. And I never did that. I never left a 50-mile radius.
Right.
If you want me in New York or Washington, I'll work there, but I'm going to go home.
Well, unbelievably enough, when we started on SiriusXM, your studio actually got closer to your home.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny to think about.
Miles. Well,
exactly.
That's what she said.
Really? That's not how you use it.
It was the best transition.
That is not how you use it. No,
what's the point?
If I said, wow, like, oh, it's so good to see your studio. Wow, it's really big.
Oh, that's what she said.
There you go.
Why are we bringing this up?
Because Steve Carell was interviewed about his role in The Office, and he said that is the line that he's asked to say the most times, and he won't do it because if anyone's watched The Office, if someone said something about like, oh, it was so big, or oh, it hardly fit, or something like that, he would look in the camera and say, that's what she said. And the implication is that people want him to repeat that on their answering machines or something like that. So he's always asked to repeat that specific line.
Speaking to his former co-stars, Carell said people will sometimes stop and ask him to say lines into their phones, and he'll do it for any line but that one. I'm happy to do it, but when you say, can you just say that, I can't. Why?
I don't know. Maybe he just has asked too many times. Maybe it's just the one thing that drives him crazy.
You mean like
what's his name?
The Fonz.
The Fonz. Now, were we told?
Yes.
We were, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the Michael interviewed the Fonz.
Do you remember
came
Val
into the studio,
from down the hall?
and we weren't supposed to say, hey.
Yeah, Henry Winkler. Don't say hey.
You did. My recollection is that you completely did.
I don't think so.
Oh yes, I will get the tape.
I don't think I did.
My recollection is that you absolutely did.
But I wouldn't. But it's not the kind of thing that I would say. I wouldn't say, "Oh, Mr. Winkler, could you please say?"
No,
hey.
I think you said it. I think it was somehow said.
Get the tape. I want to hear the tape.
I'll find it.
Find that tape.
I will. I have a picture of you with him.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think I do.
I
don't think I do.
Yeah.
Can I say a word about Tom Brady? Because this also made the cut at Smerconish.com, the newsletter today. Patriots broadcaster Scott Zolik says Tom Brady to Miami is in play.
Come on, you will not be taken seriously.
I have a theory.
I have a theory too. Okay, you tell me yours first.
Okay, Giselle.
And what about it?
That she's out there modeling. She still got it. She's still doing it. But for that, like if she had hit the wall, I don't think that Brady would be contemplating playing for Miami Dolphins. Is that not your theory? I'm getting the impression that's not your theory.
Unbelievable. No, I think, first of all, I think you can't firmly retire and then unretire so many times. People are going to stop taking you seriously.
At a certain point, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
2, I read somewhere that his retirement was an attempt to get her back and to not split up.
Okay, well, we're agreeing it's being driven by Giselle.
So I'm wondering if he attempted to do that. She rebuffed his advances, and now he's like, well, hell, I might as well play.
Oh, maybe I'm for him then.
Oh, for God's sakes.
I have to think about it. Ladies and gentlemen, spring forward. Spring forward. We have a piece at Smerconish.com talking about why daylight savings is so hard on the body and what to do about it. But frankly, the time period for much of the advice contained in the story has passed because you were supposed to be altering your sleep for the last several nights, and I'm sure you didn't. But here's one tip. On Sunday morning, fight the urge to sleep in another hour to compensate for the lost time. Don't do that. Listen to TC After Dark this weekend, please. Your episode is pertaining to what?
Longwood Gardens and being a tourist in your own backyard.
I've got some podcasts of my own, but instead I will focus your attention on tomorrow's CNN program, 7:30 Philly time for YouTube Live, 9 o'clock Eastern time, 3 p.m. as long as there's no breaking news. Fingers crossed. Go vote on today's poll question. Would being indicted in connection with Stormy Daniels alone be enough to derail Donald Trump's presidential campaign? The correct answer is no. See ya.